OpenClaw 4.24 just changed AI agents forever. You've been setting up AI tools that don't actually do anything. You've been paying for assistants that forget everything after every chat. Your data is sitting on someone else's server right now, and you don't even know what it's doing with it. There's a better way, and it's already here. Hey, I'm the digital avatar of Julian Goldie, and I help people learn and actually implement AI tools into their work. Today, I'm breaking down the biggest update to one of the most talked about open source AI projects right now, OpenClaw, specifically the April 24th release, which the community is calling 4.24. I'm going to show you exactly what's new, why it matters, and how you can start using it. And there's one feature in this update that completely changes how AI agents work together. I'm getting to that in a minute, so stay with me. So first, what even is OpenClaw? OpenClaw is an open source AI agent platform. It runs on your machine, your laptop, your home server, your VPS, not on someone else's cloud, your infrastructure, your data, your rules, and the wild part. It works from the chat apps you already use every day: WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, Slack, Signal, iMessage. You just talk to it like you'd message a friend, and it actually does things. It can clear your inbox, manage your calendar, browse the web, run code, and even write and run its own skills to automate tasks you haven't even thought of yet. This thing started as a weekend project by developer Peter Steinberger. He called it WhatsApp Relay. That was back in November 2025. 2 months later, it had over 100,000 GitHub stars. At the time of making this video, it's sitting at over 363,000 stars on GitHub and attracted an enormous wave of traffic in a single week when it first launched publicly. It went from a weekend hack to one of the most starred open source AI projects alive. And the community around it has been building insane things with it. Agents running entire companies, managing emails, reviewing code, handling voice calls, controlling smart home devices, all from a phone. All right, here's what changed in the April 24th release and why it matters. Two big ones to start. The first big one, image generation without an API key. Before this update, if you wanted your OpenClaw agent to generate images using OpenAI's models, specifically GPT Image 2, you needed an OpenAI API key set up manually. A lot of people hit this wall and gave up. The April 24th release removes that wall. Now, if you have a Codex OAuth connection set up, your agent can generate and edit images through that directly. No separate API key required. You can also now generate and edit images through OpenRouter if you have an OpenRouter API key. This opens up image generation to a much wider group of people who were previously blocked. On top of that, your agents can now pass specific hints when generating images, things like quality settings, output format, background style, and compression. So your agent has much more control over the final image. That's a meaningful improvement for anyone building automated content workflows. But here's the one I'm most excited about, and I said I'd come back to it: sub-agents with forked context. Let me explain this in plain terms. Before this update, when an OpenClaw agent spawned a child agent, meaning a smaller specialized agent that handles a subtask, that child agent started fresh. Clean slate, no knowledge of what the parent was doing. That sounds fine on paper, but in practice, it created problems. The child agent would ask questions that had already been answered. It would repeat work. It would miss context that was obvious to the parent. Now, with the April 24 update, agents can pass a forked copy of their current context to a child agent. The child inherits what it needs to know. It can pick up where the parent left off without starting blind. And the default is still a clean, isolated session, so you're not forced into shared context. It's optional. You choose. This is huge for anyone building multi-agent workflows because it means your agents can collaborate in a much more intelligent way. They're not strangers anymore. They can actually pass the baton properly. There's also a practical fix for a frustrating problem: timeouts on long-running generation tasks. If your agent was generating a video or a long piece of audio, it would sometimes hit a timeout before the job finished, even though the job itself was fine. This release adds per-call timeout control, so you can tell specific tools to wait longer when they need to. That's the kind of fix that just makes the whole thing more reliable day to day. The April 24th release also improved local memory search. You can now configure how much context the memory system uses when searching, with a default of 4096 tokens, so you can tune it to match the specs of whatever machine OpenClaw is running on. That's useful if you're running it on a smaller device and you've been hitting performance issues. There were also major stability improvements in this release. Dozens of bug fixes across WhatsApp, Telegram, Slack, the web chat interface, the Codex agent harness, media handling, and more. This is a mature, fast-moving project with a large contributor community. This release had nearly 30 contributors. That's what real open source momentum looks like. Now I want to step back and give you the bigger picture, because there's been a lot happening with OpenClaw beyond just the code. The creator, Peter Steinberger, joined OpenAI in February 2026, while the project continues as open source. And that's a big signal. OpenAI is now a sponsor of OpenClaw alongside GitHub, NVIDIA, and Versal. The project is growing with serious institutional backing, but it's still community driven. The Claw community, they call themselves the Claw Crew, has held real-world meetups. TechCrunch and The Verge have covered it multiple times. This isn't a toy project anymore. What makes OpenClaw different from everything else out there is the combination of things it does. It connects to 50 plus integrations out of the box: Gmail, Google Calendar, GitHub, Spotify, Obsidian, Twitter, and way more. It has persistent memory, so it actually knows you over time. It has browser control, so it can do real research. It has full system access, so it can run scripts and commands. It has a plugin and skill system, so it can extend itself. And it works from the chat app you're already on. You don't need to open a new app. You just message it. When I first started going deep into AI agent tools, I was overwhelmed. There were so many options, and most of them were either locked behind subscriptions, required heavy technical setup, or just didn't actually do that much. And that's when I created a community called AI Profit Boardroom, with over 2,000 members, all focused on learning AI together and sharing what actually works. It taught me which workflows save time versus which ones waste it. The community shares real use cases and practical implementations. If you're serious about using AI to improve your work and skills, check it out. Link is in the description. Let me give you the practical side now. How do you actually get started with OpenClaw? Installation is one command. You run curl and the install script from openclaw.ai. It handles Node.js and all the dependencies for you. Then you run OpenClaw on board and it walks you through setup. It's available on Mac, Linux, and Windows. There's also a companion app for macOS with menu bar access. One thing worth knowing: prompt injection is still an industry-wide unsolved problem, not just for OpenClaw, but for all AI systems. The team is actively working on security and has done significant hardening, including a formal security model and over 34 security-focused commits in the January rebrand release alone. So use it thoughtfully. Read their security best practices docs. The skills system is where things get really interesting once you're set up. OpenClaw has a community hub called Claw Hub where people share skills they've built. But the really cool thing is that OpenClaw can write and install its own skills just by you describing what you want. Someone set up a skill to query their university assignment schedule just by asking for it. Someone else built a full terminal flight search tool.